there's a girl on a pony and it's rearing and it's rearing and it's rearing. But I go in the canteen to have a cup of coffee. So I have the coffee and I'm trying to put my sugar into the cup, and I literally can't put my sugar in my cup because it's the horse rearing has literally ignited trauma back in me, and it's taken me back to exactly what I felt when that mare reared up and on top of me. So that shaking, that wasn't weakness, that was trauma response. And at the time of that mare going up on top of me, you know, that was probably the most frightening thing I've ever experienced in my horse career. Hi, and welcome to another edition of Granny's Wisdoms. So today I wanted to just talk to you about a horse that I was out hacking many years ago that reared up on top of me whilst out on the road. And at the time I got back on the horse and I thought I was fine, but in actual fact I wasn't. It had affected me more than I realised. It was a Tuesday morning and at the time I worked late, so I decided in the morning I would take this horse for a hack. So I tack her up and I go out and I literally almost hacked to the next village. And beautiful, she was absolutely perfect on the hack. You know, she was probably one of the nicest horses I've ever ridden. And sun was on my back. I'm thinking, how great is life? You know, I'm on this beautiful horse. Life's pretty good. And anyway, we'd gone for the hack and we were on our way back to the yard. And I was probably only about 500-600 yards from the yard. And then all of a sudden, she'd gone from like just hacking along as nice as you like. She all of a sudden just stopped and reared up, you know. So I came off, and fortunately where we are, you've got like a bank and then the hedge is on top of the bank. So as she reared on top of me, I almost like sat on the road with my back fully supported. When she came on top of me, I couldn't go anywhere because I was fully supported by the bank and the road. So my legs were on the road and then my back was on the bank. She came on top of me and then she sort of rolled to the left, got up and looked at me as if to say, what are you doing down there? And I was like, oh my God, what the hell has just happened, you know? So I sort of managed to peel myself up off the road. She didn't run off or anything like that. She just stood looking at me. So I got hold of her. And at the time, this guy drove around the lane. He saw me, you know, in the road with holding this horse, and he stopped. And he was a horseman himself. And he came over and he said, "Oh, can I help you?" And I didn't know this guy from Adam. And so I said, "I've got my hat." I said, "Do you mind if I just put my head on your shoulder?" And he was like, "Yeah, okay, love," you know. I said, and I'm there, I don't know him, and I've got my hat now is resting on this guy's shoulder. And you know when you just need that moment. I don't know what the hell has happened, but I just need to take a moment to, you know, get over what I've just experienced. And anyway, he says to me, "I'll take you back, you know, wherever you got to get to." So I explained. He said, "Oh, I'll take you back." And I said, no, it's fine. So I got back on her and I rode her back to the yard. Anyway, I get to the yard and I start to untack her, but I can't use the whole left-hand side of my body because she's literally just crushed me. So I'm undoing the tack with my one hand. Anyway, I managed to throw the saddle in the back of the, I'd got a Discovery at the time, so I threw the saddle in the back of the Discovery, chucked her out in the field. On my way home, because I'm driving home because I've got to get to work, and I'm having to let go of the steering wheel to change gear because that's how damaged I am, you know. I just can't use this left side of me very well. Anyway, I get home, I ring my husband to say to him, because I worked with him at the time, I rang him to say, "Look, I've come off the horse, I'm not going to get into work. Can you just let them know I'm not going to get there, but I will work Saturday instead?" Because I didn't want to book the day off sick, so it was like, yeah, no problem. So, like all horse owners, what's going to remedy my aches and pains? I know, I'll have a bath. So I get in the bath, try and relax everything, get out the bath, and I'm still no better. So the next thing I decide to do is I'm just going to go to bed. I'm going to go to bed and I'm going to like lick my wounds. When I wake up, I'm going to feel a lot better. So I go up to bed. And I'm in bed for a little time. I'm like, I am hurting. I know I'm hurting. I don't know what damage I've done, but I just know that I'm hurting. Anyway, my husband arrives and he shouts up, "You all right, Lise?" You know. And at the point when I heard his voice, then the emotions started. And then I started getting like really upset about what happened. And then the what ifs. What if I hadn't have been fully supported on the road? What if I'd have sat on the bank, she'd have snapped my legs? What if she'd have broken my pelvis? And all the what ifs started to build in my mind about what had actually happened. And I'm realising that, you know, I'm not processing what's happened in a good way. I eventually, where I'd got the mare from, I mean, I tried everything. I had a back checked, I had a saddle checked, I had a teeth checked. I did everything because I wanted to try and find out why had this mare reared up on top of me. And where I am, we have like a local racing yard, and one of the jockeys, who's a cracking rider, I said to her, "Would you just come and just see, was it me?" Because now I'm thinking, did I pull on her? Did I this? Did I that? I didn't think I did, but I didn't know. I was thinking, because it had happened so quickly and without warning, you know, she wasn't like dancing or prancing. She literally, boom, and she went up. So I get this local jockey to come, and I just say, "Can you just come and ride her?" Anyway, she rides her. She's riding her in the field, and the mare, again, is going beautifully, just like she was with me. Without warning, boom, straight up she goes. And I saw the look on the jockey's face. She was like, anyway, she didn't go over this time, to be fair, because I think the jockey was so quick to go forward with a natural reaction, whereas I wasn't used to sitting to a rearing horse. I'd never been on a rearer, which was why I was thinking, did I pull her back? Which I don't think I did. You know, yes, I didn't go. I don't know. To be honest, I don't even know what I did. All I know is that the mare went up and she just came over on top of me. It happened that quickly. But the jockey just said to me, that's an established rearer, just from her experience of what the mare did. So that was it. I contacted the person I brought her from, and after a little bit of toing and froing, they agreed to have the mare back. So that was the end of that story with her. So I thought, so the mare's gone, I'm now back on my other horses, and I'm not even remotely registering how much what had happened with the mare had affected me. So I'm probably talking maybe 5-6 months later. I'm show jumping Dade, and I've gone to a place called Gracelands, and they've got like an indoor arena. So as I go into the canteen, there's a girl on a pony, and the pony's napping to go out the arena. So the girl's like trying to send it forward, and it's rearing, and it's rearing, and it's rearing. And I didn't say this out loud, but I'm actually thinking to myself, just get off it, just get off it, because this little pony was rearing. I go in the canteen to have a cup of coffee. So I have the coffee, and I'm trying to put my sugar into the cup, and I literally can't put my sugar in my cup, because it's the horse rearing has literally ignited trauma back in me, and it's taken me back to exactly what I felt when that mare reared up and on top of me. So that shaking, that wasn't weakness, that was trauma response, because the brain never forgets what it perceives as tried to kill you. And at the time of that mare going up on top of me, you know, that was probably the most frightening thing I've ever experienced in my horse career. So if we don't retrain the brain, what happens is the brain then starts running the show, which is exactly why I now do things differently. When you watch the next clip, you'll see a pigeon come out and spook Casey, who's my 5-year-old. I talk to her about the pigeon. Now, if you're watching it, you'll probably think I'm doing it to reassure her, but I'm not, because that's me managing my own nervous system. You hear me say during the clip that the pigeon didn't really help us. What I'm doing is I'm interrupting the feeling. The pigeon didn't help us then, did it? Case. I acknowledge, I rationalise, and I move on. There's a big difference. Protection without leadership is limitless, and you can retrain it. Remember that confidence is trained, it's not gifted.
Granny in the saddle, riding real and true. Like, share, subscribe, we're here for you.